Welcome to Everyone's Doing Better Than Me, the podcast where we really relish in believing that everyone is doing better than us. And no one has any problems except for me, Eve Ellenbogen, and my co-host,
Katharyn Henson.
Two bitter old crones who used to be comedians.
What?
Who used
Come
to be
on, man.
comedians back when the world was full of joy and laughter, and now we just sit around chain smoking, but we don't actually smoke, so it's all kind of emotional chain smoking and bitter complaining. Is that accurate, Katharyn?
Yeah, that was really good. Did you pen that in your journal this morning? Did you get that one all? Did you put that in the chamber to get ready for this shit?
You know, I don't appreciate your tone. I don't.
What? It was enthusiastic. There was a hope for the future there. You should be thrilled that I'm planning for the future instead of my suicide. So come on,
I'm actually really proud of you. You've been meditating like a champ, right? Mm-hmm. For about a week and a half.
I don't know what day it is. I started around Easter. I think I started the Saturday before Easter. And I only know that because prior to beginning that, I was like actually thinking about killing myself. Like, and I didn't want to tell you. I know we like have this deal, but like the bottom line is like, you know, you're going to find out. You're going to find. Yeah, I know it's horrible. Okay, I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have said.
We had that long talk the day before you started meditation, though, which is how you, I mean, not to take credit for your life here, but yeah, that was how I
lie. We have a lot of long talks. So I'm like, you know, which one?
I would be so fucking mad at you. I would be so mad at you forever.
I'd be up there like, excuse me, down there. I'd be like, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, you're not going up anywhere. You'd be under the floor all the way in the basement of the world or whatever, the spiritual realm, and I would be like, you fucking bitch, you know. I'd be like, we had just started a podcast together. I mean, that's what it is, right? It's not about your mother or your dogs or whatever your life. It's just about the fucking podcast. But so you
or the boxes and the dog.
Yeah, I know.
Lives on.
And also it's like if you were to do that, because we sent all those boxes to ThreadUp. And they're gonna like,
yeah, and you don't have the password.
I know.
That was not a threat. That was not a threat. But it would be like, who would get that money? You know?
Yeah, because so basically, it's like we sent all these boxes to this company that like they choose what they want to keep, and then they sell it online, and they give you profits. Mm-hmm. And your stuff was really expensive, and we agreed to split that, and that was like part of what the whole thing was. And if you were to fucking kill yourself before that was done. That should be the thing. You had to be like, I have to wait for the ThreadUp money to come through for Eve, because I would have just done it for nothing. I'd be so mad at you.
Yeah, and you'd have to call. Like I feel like what you would be
explain it.
Yeah, what you would be doing with ThreadUp would be very similar, not as in the same like vein, but not really, as the situation that's happened with me over Venmo, which. The only reason I want to bring it up,
okay,
I was like thinking about this in the park today when I was like trying to find myself or whatever, and I was getting emotional about it again. But the thing you'd have to do with ThreadUp is sort of similar to my Venmo thing, which is like try in vain and likely fail to get your money.
There's no way they would give me the money.
Excuse me, where do I begin? I had a friend who flew to Australia in March to do a comedy festival. Like we were supposed to do it together.
She's very funny, but she's somewhat unstable. Anyway, I mean, she's
dead now.
Yeah.
Can I have her money? I pack those boxes.
Because the thing is with you and Venmo, which you can get into in a second, it's like, at least I think your legal claim is accurate. I think that you're in the right here. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, whereas with me and ThreadUp and that money, like, there's no way. I'm like, well, we talked about it once in a phone call. Maybe if it's recorded, but I didn't record it. Like, there's no way I could be like, I'm entitled to half of my dead friend's income from selling her clothes through this website. Like, I can't even, it wouldn't be like you where it's like, you've been wronged, and so then there's like people you can call to help you out. I mean, the only person I could really call would be your mother. And I'd be like, hi,
Chris.
thank you, Chris. I was like, Jan, it's Marsha. No, Chris. Hi, Chris. I know you must be going through such a hard time. I know I went through a hard time myself boxing up Katharyn's stuff to send it to ThreadUp. And I don't know if she mentioned this to you, but she promised me half of the money, which might only be a few $100s. But if you wouldn't mind, it's not in her account yet, but they will send it through. So if you could just send it to me now, that would be great. Oh, I know her.
They leave it. Well, the fucked up thing is they leave it in ThreadUp, right?
Right, like Venmo.
And so like somebody, yes, like Venmo, and somebody would have to do something, and it would just claim it. It would be a mess. It would be a mess.
I'm just saying. So I think that the timing of this is all wrong for me. Yeah.
The meditation, the fact that I'm remaining alive, so you can
no. You committing suicide. Like, I just think that if you still feel that way, which I don't think you do.
I don't, or I wouldn't have brought it up.
Right. Then, right. Then but if it comes back, just do me a favor and wait until you pay me.
You know what you're going to get then? You're going to get like a fucking letter. I'll like pen a letter to ThreadUp, and I'll be, and like, I won't even leave a suicide note. I'll just leave a letter to ThreadUp giving you all the money. Like, that's all that there's going to be. And then there's going to be a lot of questions there. There's going to be a lot of questions there that then you're going to have to answer. It's going to sound
I have this, I have this recording now. This is why I record these podcasts. It's not it's not really about the podcast. It's more about like a legal kind of like it's in place of a will. It's that I want something that will show that I'm entitled to half that money. The other thing you could do is just estimate how much you think it would have been and just transfer it to me. And if I get like a big chunk of money from you, I'll be like, uh-oh, and I'll call the police. And I know your address. I'll just call the police.
You'll be like, uh-oh, and then you'll be like, but wait. Like, let me get an iced coffee and some skincare routine going, and then I'll call the police.
Those are actually two of my like literal favorite things. If you'd said like a bath with Epsom salts, I would be like, you know what? Maybe I wouldn't call the police. No, I would. I'd be like, somebody should do something, but do I have to give the money back if she lives? Like that, that'd be like.
Well, as somebody who's had to deal with the police internationally on more than one occasion in the last year, hilarious. First of all, I'm afraid of all police. So the fact that I've even had to do that, I can tell you, the call will be unsuccessful, Eve. So don't even waste your minutes. Like they won't do anything. Yeah. They will not care.
No.
And that leads me to my most recent, I would say not run in with the police, because again, they wouldn't do anything. But as you know, I'm just gonna make this as quick as possible, just because it is still, it goes between, I'm like acceptance, and then like really upsetting, and then sort of very vulnerable, and like whatever, and then like angry, obviously.
Okay, this is an awkward transition. I'm editing out this story because it ended up that what would you say, Katharyn?
It made her sad.
It made me really sad, and I started crying because I just couldn't. I don't know. I'm really tired. So this is like a little awkward bridge to go from that moment into the next moment. But suffice it to say, Katharyn got fucked over on Venmo, and you should send her money. Is that fair?
I had $1,000 stolen from me, and Eve cried like she had $1,000 stolen from her. And now we've just cut the story out. But that's all you need to know. $1,000. Don't Venmo me.
Totally Venmo her. If you message me, I'll tell you what her Venmo is. Okay.
I'm not using Venmo anymore. They stole it from me.
Oh, okay. Whatever. Send it to me.
PayPal. Send it to Eve. Whatever.
PayPal owns Venmo, babe.
I know. Don't. I know. I'm in their legal department. I am all up in there. Just on to the next story.
Here's the rest of the podcast.
More importantly, that motherfucker Harry is back again. Wait, Harry, not Harry, Henry. You remember that guy?
Oh, the neighbor. The neighbor we talked about on the episode with Kevin. What?
Yeah, the episode with Kevin.
Poor.
Yeah,
But the
well,
thing is,
so
I feel for Henry now because I'm like, what if he
okay,
can't
yeah,
sleep?
yeah, no,
What if it's a sleep thing? It would drive you
okay,
crazy.
I want to feel for it, but it's like then it's also like you have to start asking yourself how many people must be involved in the resolution of one's crazy, right? And I say
Yeah.
this because I woke up, so I didn't sleep well either. I woke up and I don't know, I was so tired where I was like, I could like try to cling to like another few hours, or I can like try to make this happen, but like my head hurt, the whole fucking thing. And then I like reluctantly was like, okay, do your Wim Hof breathing, because I'm a fucking woo woo person now,
You're welcome, by the
little woo woo
way.
goes a long way.
Yeah, you're
okay.
welcome.
I like.
I got you into
talked
the Wim.
about this,
Yeah,
that you
you're
were
welcome.
not the first person to tell me about Wim Hof, but you
Okay,
were the
but
most recent, and
you wouldn't be doing it now if I hadn't mentioned it to you a week ago.
Do you need this? You can have it. You can have it.
You need it. I almost cried.
It was you.
I almost cried out of nowhere just now. I almost cried because
I saw the welling. I saw the welling as somebody who was, cried most of the time recently. My general state now is like crying.
You looked so concerned for me, which was a nice reversal, for you to be like, okay, we'll take.
But then I laughed at you.
Yeah, you did. That actually made me feel better.
It does. It does. They say bullying is bad, but I think it gets you to pull up your bootstraps, sack up a little and take life on the chin,
Take life. Yeah. Who the fuck are you? Take life on the chin. What the
I'm somebody who was plotting my suicide less than 10 days ago.
But you talk like a military dad. Like that's how you just sounded. Like, sack up, son. Take life on the chin. Like your mother. It's like, whoa, Dad, I think you just admitted to violence. All right. Anyway, continue.
So I had woken up, and so I do my Wim Hof. I do it in the bed. That's my treat, right? Like I'm like, I don't have to get out of bed to better myself. Yeah. No, that's how I keep. Yeah. I'm like, I can better myself from the bed.
I don't ever want to hear you criticize my journaling again. I don't ever want to hear you make fun of my woo-woo. You're like, my little treat is that I can breathe in the morning from bed. I'm like,
no, it's in the bed, staying in bed.
Yeah. Yes, but I'm just like, go fuck yourself because you are just like me and you know it. You know it.
Okay. Well, I also do that as well. So,
you do. You said doo-doo.
Yeah, okay. And then
you doo-doo? Oh my God. Okay, I can't help it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go.
It's hard to help it. So I do the Wim Hof breathing in the bed, but the last 2 days I've kind of been a little like emotional, shocked me, because I really have missed New York. And I didn't mention this part, but like, we do have MDMA laying around, and I know what you're gonna say, but we like
I'm not saying shit.
Well, we had a very fun time, but I do think that kind of, that with the woo-woo sort of opened my mind, and like, I've cleared space for grieving. Yeah. And I think it really just hit me over the past few days. Like, I don't live in New York anymore. Like, I kind of had this meltdown because Mark and I were going to go get a banh mi, right? I haven't had one in London. We don't eat out. We can't afford it. But you know what? We were like, let's go crazy and go get a Vietnamese sandwich, you know? And so we walked 3 fucking miles for this sandwich, which I'm no stranger to.
Miles?
Yeah. Being
from New
York. Yeah, because,
how long was that?
I mean, it was a bit, we went a roundabout way before we like decided to get the banh mi. I mean, it took like an hour and a half to get there, but it took like an hour to get home. But my point is like, I'm no, being from or living in New York, I like to walk for food. So I was like, oh, good. Look at me. I'm making a memory in London. You know what I mean? I'm getting all like cheesy about it. Like, it'll be great. I'll fall in love with this city. Look at the buildings. And then we fucking get there and it's closed. And then all the ones around it are closed. And I don't know if it's because of Corona or because of Sundays, because the grocery stores close early on Sundays, which I think might just be a real thing here. And so then, of course, I just immediately.
What time was this?
This was like, it was like 3:00. It was
when we
left.
That's not late.
So it was probably like around 4:30. No. And these fucking grocery stores close at like 6 o'clock.
I
Some of
know.
them close at 8 p.m. Yeah, well, you're like, I know, but then of course I'm like, nothing closes in New York ever, And then I'm like, what is this? And I'm like, I didn't speak for an hour, but when I did, I was like, this isn't New York City, the only city that matters. And like, I'm just like losing it. And I can hear British people behind us listening to me screaming about this, like, and this like Irish man who's my husband, but he's just like, and I'm just like, New York, this isn't New York, this is garbage,
And are they laughing? Are they laughing? The British people?
No, I think they're scared because I'm like also I was crying through it, of course. Public crying is just
oh, I wish I could see this. I wish I saw people like you more often. It would brighten my day. Like, just,
me too.
It's like, they'd be like, yeah, it's not New York. It's London, you dumb fucking bitch. Like,
I know.
like,
I know.
Yeah, you go.
Well, then I got home and I was like Googling New York versus London and like crying about it, and it's like, because I'm acting like this is some like shack in the middle of like Missouri. I'm like, London sucks, and it's like, but it's like one of the major cities in the world. It's just like, I've been locked in the whole time. So it's like when I try to go one place and it's closed, I'm just like, just another disappointment. Like, and, so I lost my fucking mind is what I mean to say. I lost my mind. And so, so the past few days I felt really sad. I miss New York. I miss seeing people I know. I miss like just knowing how to do things. I feel like I don't quite know how to do things here. And so I've been, after the Wim Hof, I meditate in the bed too. Boom. That's the other thing is the point I was trying to make.
You make me look so bad because it's like, if I do anything in bed in the morning, it's either fantasize about a better life or masturbate. You know what I mean? There's no like, and then I breathe and then I meditate. I mean, I'll do those things. I haven't been doing either, honestly. I'm like, yeah, I do those things. I haven't done either one. I do that
all the time,
but I don't. But when I do, it's on the couch,
and I think I feel like that's more like focused meditate, right? Like, but it's just, I've been trying to be like kind to myself, so I'm like, okay, the treat is you don't have to get out of bed yet, right? And then by the time you're done, like, you know what I mean? So like, if you want to just die in the bed, but then by the time I'm done doing the stuff, normally I'm like, I'm ready to face the day, and all of life's challenges and whatever. So like, and normally I feel good enough to get out of the fucking bed by the end of it. So that's how I'm playing it right now.
That's great. Good for you.
Stay in bed.
I'm glad that, like, this is the thing that really upsets me about me. Okay. So it's like, I feel like I have good instincts around what is useful and what is good. Right. So it's like, for example, as soon as I found it, I was vegetarian and I felt like shit. This is like 10 years ago more. And my cousin told me about like keto or paleo or whatever. And I looked into it and I started reading books about it. And I was like, yeah, this is better, right? Like low carb, higher fat, blah, blah. This is like the way, and like all these people, I was like reading all these blogs about people who'd stopped eating so many carbs, started eating keto, drop all this weight. And I'm like, this is the way. And then I like recommend the book to like 1 million people, and then they start following it, and I kind of taper off. I'm like, yeah, I know.
You start like eating at Subway.
Yeah, well, I just like eat more like fat and all stuff like that, but then I'll also like kind of throw the carbs in there. So, which is like, you can't do that. Like you just gain weight. You know what I mean? You have to like, either you're like trying to like calorie count and eat low fat, which is stupid, but it still will work to some extent. Like you just feel tired all the time, or you eat like keto. And this is like for me, because I know that works for me, and you have all this energy. Sorry. People keep messaging me. Oh, I gotta.
Okay. Bragging.
I know. Sorry. I have all these people who like just want me, and I've got to mute all my things. But so it's like, but that's me, it's like, I will find out about all these tools. I'll share them with other people who put them into practice. And then I will taper off and watch them I watch their lives change.
Like,
I mean, like,
see?
it's like I've watched so many people like just like become enlightened and like be like, yeah, well, I started doing these things you recommended and I'm really doing great. And I'm like, well, I read that book too. I just don't practice what I read. It's the same with you and Wim Hof, where you're like, yeah, and now I don't want to die and all this. And I'm like, yeah, well, I told you about it, but like you're gonna become this like amazingly happy, productive, enlightened.
We'll
I mean,
see.
I say this and I'm like, oh, this isn't true. But you your life. Sorry. I mean, that's the first time I've ever hurt your feelings. That face.
Very harsh, very harsh. You know, I'm still clinging to this right now. Can I have it for a little longer?
No, but I mean,
before it stops working magically one day.
But you're never gonna be like a, you know, babe, you just need to breathe. Like you're never gonna be like some annoying, like some.
No, totally, I'm gonna be like, breathe.
Yeah, totally. You're never gonna kind of float over to me on a cloud and tell me that it's all gonna be okay. You know what I mean? I just can't. I couldn't handle it. I could not handle it if you were like, you know, Eve, like everything in life is just a test to see, you know, to help us grow. I'd be like, I wish I'd never given you that Wim Hof app or documentary. But anyway, I guess it's just what I'm saying is your success is hurting me. Because
wow. Well,
everyone's doing better than me. Sorry.
well, where I was getting to, so you won't envy this. You won't envy this.
Oh, good.
So I'm doing the breathing and whatever and everything in the bed, and then I get up and I usually poop. Or I hope to, hopefully I've been pooping more regularly since I've started taking care of my mental health.
Isn't it? But like stress really helps. I mean, reducing stress helps you poop, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, it's crazy. It is crazy. You're like, I'm not happier by any means. Let's just get that straight. But I am.
I know you're happier because the other day you told me that you had the ability to find peace within you, and I was like, I don't want to live anymore. If I have to hear Katharyn say this shit,
I tagged you in. You're in the suicide ring now, my friend, and I'm on the outside. Look at it. How do you feel? How do you enjoy not sleeping, bitch? Oh, God. You see my face just cackling. But so I'm pooping today, right?
Yeah.
And like, okay. I think you know, I don't know how much I should say this or whatever. And I mean, I doubt they like listen, but you know, well, you know, like you pay for like TV here. I've hidden from TV licensing people. Yes. Okay. I hide from anyone who comes to my door. Let's be honest.
That's like, fair.
That's the New York way.
Yeah.
You don't answer the fucking door. Like,
no.
If you are not expecting somebody, you don't answer the door.
No.
And like, so no, right? Like,
they're not the fucking police. You don't have to answer the door when they knock. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Isn't that just the way?
Who the fuck knocks without, you know, an announcement first? Like, you know, right. Unless there's like an emergency, right? Which normally it's like, you know, water streaming down the walls. I mean, I did flood my neighbor's apartment once. I didn't even know, but that's why you knock on the door. There were knock, knock, my apartment's flooding. So my bathroom is very close to my front door. And when I'm alone, which I am, you know, 90% of the time, I poop with the door open, you know, live a little. It's the small things. And
I never close the door.
And I'm sitting there
to the bathroom.
When
I'm alone, you know.
Yeah. I mean, well, you know, at this point, Mark is an extension of my aloneness. So the closeness is probably appalling to most. Yeah. But you know, what are you going to do? Good. And actually, because I started texting him while this was going on, because the bathroom is right near the front door, and so I can hear people approaching my front door.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also this nifty thing. There's a sensor light, like the lights are off and then they go on if somebody's there. So that's cool. But I can hear them approaching and I hear them knocking, right? And I can hear my neighbor, who I've never seen or met, but she's probably heard me screaming.
You know,
I'm sure.
In this accent. I'm sure. Yeah.
This isn't New York. This isn't New York. I'm terrified to meet this woman. I promise you.
Yeah.
Like, I peeped out through the peephole, like, so I've sort of seen the back of her head once.
Yeah.
Still no, and so I hear her singing. So I hear them knock on my door. And when I say, like, I'm just a few feet away from them. Do you know what I mean?
And you know that this is the TV license people? You know this?
No. I don't. Okay. I don't know who it is at this moment, but I can hear everything they're saying. So I quickly discern it's Henry. And Henry is
Ah,
here.
yeah. Cool.
Henry is here with someone that he has commissioned from some company, who knows what it is, to aid in the investigation of this noise, right?
Oh,
That he
Henry.
entered my apartment.
Right.
He was let into my apartment last week by
Right.
my husband
Right.
to, check our boiler. And now he has returned, like a week or whatever fucking later.
With no notice. With no notice.
No notice. I mean, I don't know if he messaged Mark, but I don't think he did. The point is like Mark's at work. And like the reason why this is now Mark's problem is because mommy can't deal. I can't deal with it. I can't, like I was sitting there on the toilet. There was poop falling out of my ass. And I can hear them knocking on the door. Okay. I can hear them knocking on the door, interrupting my 1 p.m. pooping, you know?
Yeah. You're like, do you know how much meditation it's taken to get me to poop midday?
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah. Like ever again, like, and then that's the other thing. Cause then I'm thinking like, I could be in the fucking middle of something. Like I am in the middle of something, but I could be in the middle of 15 other things in my very important, lonely life, and I'm supposed to cater to your whimsy, about this noise that I can't hear, that only you can hear. So I hear him knock on my neighbor's door too. And I hear her singing Stop. And I don't hear her answer the door. So I'm like, oh, she's doing full blast ignore. She's having none of it, right? She's not even entertaining this shit. And then I promise you, outside of my door, 25 minutes. No. Because I can't leave the bathroom. Because if I leave the bathroom, you can hear the padding of my feet on the floorboards, right? So I'm just in my bathroom, hiding from this man in my own home because I don't want to let them in to like invest, like knocking on the walls or whatever. I'm like, yo, whatever this noise is, like, I'm super fucking sorry about it, but you got to get some earplugs, you got to get some Xanax, you got to do anything else.
You got to get a fan.
Bother every single fucking one of your neighbors. Yeah, totally. Get a fan. Anything.
Wait a minute. Sitting so there and they stood there for 25 minutes doing what? Like knocking or like trying to hear the noise?
They knocked on my door at least twice, and then I hear him go, it looks like they're not home. And then I start texting Mark because I hear them talking about Mark now, and he's like, well, and like Henry's like asking this guy, and he's like, well, I requested that you guys come after 5 p.m., when everybody's home and wants to deal with his noise, and
oh my
and
God.
The guy's like, look, they just send me out. Yeah. And he's like, well, I went into their flat, our flat, because I think we're the only suckers who let him inside. Yeah, totally. It seems like everybody else is ignoring him. And he's like, and we turned the boiler on and we turned it off. And then he was like, Mark said he doesn't get up until at 5 a.m. But it's like, Mark doesn't get up at 5. Mark gets up, it's like 6:30. So you don't even have your like numbers right because you're trying to like pinpoint when the noise goes on and when. And I've also said nobody touches our fucking boiler or anything at 5 a.m. Like the fact is like at one point I was like, look, we turn it off when we go to bed and I turn it off when I get up. And he's like, well, what time is that? And I'm like, God damn you for making me admit that sometimes it's 2 p.m. because my life is a living hell. Like, don't make me fucking do this to you in my own fucking home. Tell you how I live my life because I can't hear your noise. Like,
totally. You're like, I don't want to talk to you about my fucking depression, and then like, and then it's like, well, actually I got stuck in Australia and then I came to the UK and then I was living with these Italians. Like, you don't want to have to tell him those things.
Like, do you want to hear a noise? I've got some noises for you. Like, I can
ask my neighbor, ask the one who lives next to me about the fucking noises she hears. If you've never heard any kind of words like New York floating through the walls, you can't hear my boiler. Because there's no way that the boiler is louder than you squawking about how London isn't New York.
Yeah, and sobbing and like screaming, my apartment, my stuff, stand-up comedy. Screaming.
Career, my career. Like, just like constantly.
I'm a comedian, but all you hear is crying.
Man, I would kill to be just for a day, just for one bad day. I would love to be your neighbor. Not for all of this, but for one bad day. I would, if I really was like, I wonder, is everybody doing better than me? And then I just put my ear to the wall and I'm like, I'm okay. Nah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm not her.
Well, and this man, right? But this man he's standing with Henry and he's like explaining, because, okay, We are on the 3rd floor. Henry is on the 5th floor.
There's no way he can hear your fucking boiler.
So this man is like, but I can tell this guy who's here trying to quote unquote do his job, whatever that is. He's like, I mean, we've got to eliminate that. We got to eliminate this flat. We got to eliminate, like, he's trying to explain to Henry, like, you don't have access to all of the points that would need to be eliminated, right. So I like, I'm texting Mark. I'm like, look, I think he's going to call you. You got to tell him that you get up at 6 or 6:30 because that's when you get up. You also got to tell him, like, because they were saying, like, we didn't turn our boiler off all the way, even though I fucking watched Mark flip the knob on the actual machine. And I'm like, we're not doing this. Like, why is your crazy also now my crazy? And I heard him knock on somebody else's door who's like also on our floor, but on the other side. And I heard him go, will you just check? Do you hear the noise? And like, I hear this person go, and he's like, okay, thanks anyway. Like, like he's bothering everybody. And it seems like some people are responding and some people aren't. And then, I try to find the empathy you're talking about, right? Because I'm like, okay, it's driving him crazy. But I'm also just like, I don't know. You're in a major city. I mean, it's a noise. I guess it didn't used to be here. Well, it's fucked me up though. This is the last thing I'll do. Because now whenever I hear a noise in my apartment, I'm like, is that Henry's noise? So now I'm like, I have been like, groomed to be like listening for noise and thinking like, maybe that's it. And I'm like, I've already like, now I'm like thinking about a noise I cannot hear at least, 8% of the time, which I don't think is fucking fair to me. I already am dealing with enough,
Totally. I mean, I think it's just so strange to like to try to control the outside world. You know what I mean? Control your inside world. And that doesn't mean like nobody in the building can turn the boiler on. It means like get a fucking noise machine, get some earplugs. Like, I mean, I try to sleep with a fan. Like when it was like super quiet in like January when I was living here, I could sleep with no noise machine and it was like beautiful. But then now New York is kind of coming back to life. Oh, great. COVID's ending and we all got to go back to work. I'm like, just a couple more months, so I can get a good night's sleep. But no, the construction's resumed and that's fine. You just turn the fucking fan on. But it's like, I don't understand. Well, I do understand people who are crazy because I could be crazy too. Like, all right, we'll have to edit stuff back into the beginning so to explain this in that gap, because basically after you started talking about Venmo and during your story, which we're going to edit out because I started crying because I'm so tired that I couldn't find it in me. I couldn't connect. I just was like listening to this story and it's like the kind of story that's like very kind of detail heavy and like sad and it needs some levity. And that was my job and I couldn't do it. And I just was like, and it wasn't my job in the sense of like, we don't have an assignment in the conversation, but like, that's our dynamic is like, you scream.
We're recording a podcast. Yeah,
exactly. You scream about the things that upset you. And I'm like, Katharyn, don't jump today, but today I'm the one who I'm so fucking tired because I just cannot sleep. And yes, I started crying. Yeah. Have I ever thought what?
Do you think there's a noise you hear that no one else can hear that's keeping you awake at night? Because that's like, apparently what's happening to Henry.
It's literally your voice in my head. It's literally just you in my head every night. And then, this is New York. This is not New York. I mean, the thing about London that is crazy to me, London is, and the UK in general, is such an incredible place. It's like such a beautiful city with like incredible, huge parks, old architecture, this like haunted kind of like waterlogged city. You know what I mean? That's like seen so much. And, and like the people are just like, well, keep calm and carry on. They're just like, they kind of just go through the what is it called? The tube. And, there's like, I mean, it's like, I find the tube is crazier than the subway in my experience. I mean,
really?
Yes, there's so many crazy people. Your people are on the tube. You need to go hang out down there and you will start to love London.
Dude,
I mean, it's
every
like miles.
time
Yeah.
it's always,
Yeah.
it's quiet and clean on the tube.
No, you need to
Yes,
fucking do
yes.
you need to do your research, all right? Little like what is it? Like what do they call it? What's the name of the girl that's like supposed to be like this prairie girl? Pollyanna. Little Pollyanna. You're like, I don't know, it's so quiet and calm. It's like there are so many fucked up people in London. And the reason why, okay, in my experience, and this is what I think is true. So I'm not gonna research this. I'm just gonna stand by it. Is that because they have always had like the dole, like some kind of money for people who are unemployed or whatever in the UK, and also this is true in Australia, it is so much easier to kind of get by and have a place to live and buy drugs than it is in New York. I mean, New York, you might sink a bit lower, so you're like homeless and maybe I don't know what you're doing to buy your crack. I don't know how you're getting money. I guess you have a cup on the street. But in the UK, the government subsidizes your drug use. So you have all these crazy people who like live in apartments, but like also talk to themselves in public and yell at people. You know, there's like when I lived in Scotland, there's this culture.
Why are you describing me?
Yes, seriously. I'm like passive aggressively. You're like, there's all these weirdos and it's just you. You know, it's just you. But it's like I mean, when I lived in Edinburgh, when I was a student, they had what's called NEDs, which, and I love that they come up with these like acronyms that are like so kind of British, where it was like non-educated delinquents, and then, oh yeah, a bunch of NEDs in the non-educated delinquents.
I thought you said meds, and I was like, sign me up.
Yeah, babe, I think you've already got
Please,
enough.
sir.
Can I have some more? I mean, that's my British accent. Please, sir. But so it was like, but it's like it's the most British way of like categorizing somebody as like low class. They're a non-educated delinquent. And so like you'd walk through the park and like there were Neds and they were fucking aggro. You know, they were just like, what you doing? Like, now all my accents are Australian. I mean, it's not even an accent, but when I go to kind of somebody who's fucked up. But anyway, they'd be fucking tweaked out and you would just try to, you know, be an irresponsible student who was like walking home drunk, but like not get raped or bashed. You know, that was like the whole game that I played.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm fucking from New York. I'm not afraid. And then of course now I'm like, holy shit. I was so lucky. I mean, you've been there walking through the meadows at 4 a.m. and it wasn't during the festival. This was like winter, dark, no one around. And I'm like, I'm from New York, fuck it. I'm city, but I'm not from
No. It's too abandoned. That's
totally
scary.
abandoned. Yes. And I would take
scary. No. See, that's cornfield. That's scary cornfield shit. No.
Totally. And I would take the unlit pathways and be like, and I'm just lucky, you know? I'm just lucky because you know. I mean, and people will be like, oh, you have to carry your keys. I'm like, I'm not fucking carrying my key. I don't. And now I'm just like, you goddamn lucky bitch that nothing happened. People were murdered anyway. So it's like, but that's what you need to do. If you're feeling like you miss New York, go hang out in a park really late and just wait, you know, just wait.
Well, first of all, okay. It's freezing still here. 18 months of winter. Count it, you know, clock it in, bitch. And
what's the temperature?
So today it's warmer than it's been. It is 12 degrees Celsius. No. So
that's pretty cold. That's stupid.
Yes. Yeah. I know.
You should complain to someone.
I'm losing it. Yeah.
Can you adjust the temperature of this restaurant?
Okay. I am, you know, attempting to acclimate to the society that I've accidentally ended up in. And I'm on this app called Nextdoor. And, you know, maybe you've heard of it. I think they have it everywhere. I never used it in New York because I found it to be a superior city where I didn't need an app to quench my need for human interaction. But I am on the app and, you know, these people, I'm assuming who are mostly like British or European, I guess, you know, it's hard to know. It's an app. But I opened it up and one of the posts was like a photograph of, you know, what looked just, I mean, I guess like politely like Hershey squirts. Do you know what I'm saying?
Whoa.
Are you catching what I'm throwing?
I'm catching, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
on somebody's front door, right? Like a big splat. And then they're like, this has gone too far,
This was like a real photo.
Defecated. Yes. It's a real photo of like human shit, but like a puddle of it, like a big.
This is definitely
perplex,
you. This is you. This is like how.
No. I fucking wish it was.
This is like how Bill Cosby wrote a joke about drugging women called Spanish Fly, just to be like, haha, I'm getting away with it. This is you shitting on people's step and then bringing it up on the podcast.
Yeah. Be like, I'm gonna make this feel more like New York. So it's this like horrific photo of like diarrhea on somebody's front door. So I'm like, haha, that's funny. I'm like,
yeah, totally. Great. You're feeling at home.
And then there's all these comments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm like more of this, please. And so there's, the complaint, and then there's all of these comments, right? And then somebody's like, are you sure that's, I don't know, poop? Like, are you sure? Or it looks like, are you sure it's not like a milkshake? And then somebody else chimes in, no, it looks thick like tomato sauce. And I'm like, are they really doing this shit right now? I'm like loving it. And then the person who posted the original photo like zooms in on it and posts it again. Is like, no, I really think it is thick like tomato sauce, like they said. And it's brown. It's not a milkshake. It would have melted and been liquidy. And I'm like, we're really doing this. I love it. Thank you. And
God.
I should have screenshot all of that and read it like a little story. That's my bedtime story to sleep. But I couldn't find it again.
That's a new segment of the podcast. Things that make Katharyn happy that make other people really sad.
That's everything that makes me happy usually makes other people sad. So yeah, I was like, it was just watching these people who I can only assume are like more, because I live in a nice neighborhood. There's sort of neighborhoods around that. I guess I found out through that app that a place that I've been looking at, an apartment, has quote unquote turned to shit in the last few months, daytime drug deals and shit, whatever. Right. And I'm like, that sounds like I should have moved there.
Totally. Go start hanging out.
Yeah. But it's just funny to imagine these like uppity people like being like, let's look at it a little closer. Like, are we sure it's number 2, And I'm like, hell yeah, it is.
Yeah, man, I think that once it opens again, you'll start getting more the flavor of the UK, because it's like the UK is just like people fucking drinking and, old buildings with like haunted stories. And I don't mean like necessarily even ghost haunted, but just like those buildings are so fucking old. I mean, just like New York, New York is like full of all of this. I live in a brownstone right now, which won't last, of course, because I'm only subletting by somebody else's like unbelievable generosity. But it's like, I sometimes think about like, God, I wonder who lived here. This is like 100 years old. And the people who used to live in New York City were not these like fucking white, coffee swilling, like poodle. No one even walks a poodle anymore. Some kind of labradoodle walking, I mean, it's not even all the things I want to say, like
organic nail polish producing.
Yes, exactly.
Lululemon birthing.
Yes, exactly. More like
I gave birth to a pair of Lululemon yoga today.
Totally. In one of those like home birthing tubs. Do you know what I mean? My husband, he got naked with me in the tub, and we both sat there and caught the Lululemon pants as they came out.
Could you imagine, those like neck swaddles? Could you imagine like carrying one around and then like just showing somebody a pair of yoga pants?
Or it's like one of those like yoga, like the blocks, which are like, well, Lululemon, but we call it Lou for short. My little baby. I mean, so it's like New York used to be this like place for immigrants who were like desperate to leave their countries and got on boats for a month or whatever to come to this fucking rat infested city of criminals and prostitutes and all this stuff, like, and now it's like it's really going to shit. Although I will tell you that like I'm so used to living in this like nice neighborhood, and I walked through downtown Brooklyn the other night. I dropped my friend off at home. We were walking home together, said goodbye to her, I had a package sent to her that I thought would take a long time to arrive and I might not be in this apartment. So I picked up my package, and I'll tell you the truth, as I like shit all over people in Brooklyn Heights for Lululemon, it was a pair of Ugg boots. I mean, but like the winter ones. Actually, they're right here.
Wow.
They're right here. Look.
Wait,
See?
why are you doing oh, that's not
Because
bad. That's
those
not
are nice.
bad.
Because a friend of mine works for UGG, and she had a coupon that expired in March for 50% off. So I got those boots, which are so expensive, for 50% off. So I was like, I'm just gonna get them because my fucking feet were freezing all winter, and it will be winter again at some point, probably in like a month.
Still winter for me.
Yeah, I'll send you the boots. But like,
thank
so
you.
I'm walking home from downtown Brooklyn, and I come out of my friend's apartment building, and her building has like a doorman at both entrances, and it's like a very like super upscale young professional building. She lives on the 57th floor, and I was like, I can't believe I have a friend who lives.
So excuse me, not the penthouse.
She lives in the penthouse. She does. And I'm like, yes, I'll tell you who it is after. But I'm like, I mean, I make fun of her for it all.
What, like I'm gonna know them? I don't know anyone who has any money.
Well, this is the thing. I'm like, I cannot believe I know someone who lives in a penthouse. It makes me feel like I've done something wrong somehow. I'm like, where did I go wrong that I have friends with money? But then I'm like, oh, wait, I want to be someone with money one day. So isn't it good that my friends have? Anyway, whatever. But I'm walking back, and it's only like an 8-minute block from her, 8-minute walk from her place to mine. And I walk out, and there's a group of kids, like late teens, early 20s. And kids are
scary,
beating the shit out of each other. And the girls are screaming and they're trying to hold, and there's guys in the street. I mean, it's probably like 6 people. It's not a lot. And there's like 4 guys and 2 women. And the guys are going crazy. And like, I'm not like, oh, I hope they're okay. I'm like, one of them has a gun. Like it has, it's like New York fucking City, downtown Brooklyn, where I've seen people dealing crack at 9 a.m. I've seen it. And you walk.
That's where I've been to jail.
Yes, I think about you.
To jail there
all the time. I always
there's got to be a plaque somewhere with my name on it. For that.
The whitest girl ever to be in the jail. Excuse me, my yellow coat, my daffodil butter yellow coat. Do you guys have that in the storage locker? Because I really love it and I want to sell it one day online. It's like, yeah, you were in jail. It's like I smoke meth, but I love this color. Well,
it'll be for sale on ThreadUp soon, God willing.
Totally,
so we'll find the ad and post it in case somebody wants to buy that coat I wore to jail.
Butter yellow. I wore this to jail. I mean, it's just so funny. It's like anyway, whatever. So I'm like walking past these guys, and I was wearing these Ugg boots and carrying the box. Do you know, like I look like. I just look.
Why do you have the box? You're like steal from me, please.
I know, seriously. And it's like I took it out of the shipping box. I'm literally carrying a shoe box that says UGG on them, so you know that they're real. And I'm wearing them, and I'm like, I'm about to get shot. Because people are shot around here pretty regularly. Like crime is up. The other day, my friend was saying someone in Bed-Stuy on her block was shot. I looked it up. They were. I mean, it just happens all the time. It's fucking Brooklyn during COVID. And so as I'm like, I gotta get this shit. And like my adrenaline like skyrockets because it's like, this is America. Someone should write a song called This Is America. Oh, wait, they did. And it's like, it's just like, I was like, it's only a matter of time. So I'm like kind of bolting down the street. And of course the fight spills out into the middle of the street, like next to where I'm walking. And I'm like, ah, and the girls are like, stop. And he's like, I'll fucking kill you. And I'm like, oh God. And so I start
like, get away from my Uggs.
I start like racing past, and I hear a pop, and I'm like, that's it. I knew it, And of course I don't know what it was. It wasn't a gunshot. But I really thought, because people always say it sounds like a pop, a gunshot. It just sounds like a pop. It wasn't a gunshot. I mean, I don't know if anyone died. I didn't even bother looking it up. I just bolted. And I
feel like it was the universe showing disapproval of your UGG purchase. No offense.
These are really nice boots, you dumb fucking bitch. I mean,
I would have thought you would have learned something from going through all of my clothes. They're not bad looking. Look, they're not that bad.
No. I have, okay, you and I are so different. I have like 7 things that are not from a thrift store. I have so few things that are like not bought secondhand. None of my stuff is like, oh, that's a fun piece, like, or I try to do that. And then I'm like, oh, why did I get this? It's like that vest I wore that time where I'm like, this reminds me of something I used to wear when I waitressed and I had to wear like a tuxedo vest. Like none of it's like, oh, hip and cool. It's all like, yeah, I don't feel like shit in this today. And so I bought 1 pair of very practical warm boots at an insane discount. And you were like, you should have learned your lesson. I'm like, all right, okay. I moved to London and suddenly I'm a woman of the people because now I don't have any money. It's like, shut up. Who the fuck do you think you are? You must have spent 50 grand on, I mean, those clothes would have cost you 50 grand or more.
No, always on sale. Always
doesn't
on sale.
matter. It doesn't matter.
I am an honorary Jew. Everything I ever bought was on sale, like supremely discounted. I'm a deal finder.
You had a dress that you told me was $800 and that was not on sale, or it might have been on sale for $800.
No, I bought a coat. Okay, fine. There was one coat that I have in my closet. I know the dress you're talking about because we sent it to ThredUp. It was a $1,300 dress and it was on sale
for $800.
It never fit me. I shouldn't. No. I didn't buy it. I would never buy an $800 dress. I did buy a $700 coat. Okay, there. I said it.
Exactly.
I said it. Okay.
This is the thing, though. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's on sale. You still spent an unbelievable amount of money.
Very few things I bought, but just for the record, very few things I bought that expensive. Like I'm a thrifter too. You went through my shit. You saw my wares.
Whatever.
Stores.
All right. I never want to hear like that's the universe teaching you. It's like, okay, eat my ass. Eat my fucking.
Okay, so you're terrified. You're running through the streets of Brooklyn in your UGG boots. You're clinging to your box for dear life. And then what?
And then I literally crossed like one street and was in Brooklyn Heights, and it was the most serene.
The birds began chirping.
It's
a
so
rainbow
weird.
appeared.
Don't you find that about New York? It's so weird how literally there's like a 1 block difference between I might get shot and, oh, I wonder which place has the most interesting artisanal coffee. Do you know? It's like, it's such a weird
it's
thing.
like that here more. I
Really?
think it's like that here way more because, and I've noticed this, and then Mark explained it to me, because they have like council housing.
Yes.
And then they have specific neighborhoods where it's just basically you cross the street and suddenly you're in danger. And because they've integrated everybody here. Whereas in New York, I feel like neighborhoods can be separate. I mean, obviously there's always going to be the block that you cross where shit changes. But I feel like, I mean, look, again, I don't know, but that's like, I've found myself in neighborhoods where I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't I just in Notting Hill? And it's like, no, now you're in like Westbourne Park. And I'm like, what? And like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so funny. Sometimes I think like, oh yeah, like, you feel like you get a city. Like I feel like, I mean, I grew up like 20 minutes, 25 minutes from Manhattan, like not even. When I was living up in Inwood, my dad could drive from my hometown to pick me up in Inwood, which is the northern tip of Manhattan, in about 20 minutes. He could be there, maybe 25. And but 25 minutes plus a very expensive toll. But it's like, so I've always felt like, I fucking know New York. I'm fine. And then you live in New York and you're like, I am not above being shot. Like, I mean, it's just, I think it's not even New York. It's just America. It's like, there's just guns. I don't know. That must be nice about being in the UK. You don't have to worry about being shot anymore. Stabbed, yes, but
yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a slower death.
I don't remember if we talked about this, but I feel like a stabbing is way more hardcore because you gotta make a real choice. Whereas a shooting, you got any old dumb motherfucker being like, I'm playing a video game. Boom, know, and like, I'm from America, and then, but like to stab somebody, you got to be like, I am stabbing that motherfucker today. You got to get in their face.
Yeah. And you also can't, there's not so many innocent bystanders I mean, people are innocent, but but it's like, you're not going to get stabbed in the background of somebody else getting stabbed. You're not going to be walking by stabbing and you get stabbed too. It's like that person, it's like, it takes time. You got to catch them, it's like, and it's just,
you have time to decide not to do it. Whereas with a gun, once you pull that trigger, I mean, you're like, if you're like, oops, it's like,
you can shoot someone
by the chamber.
You can shoot someone by accident, whereas you can't really stab someone by accident. It's like, it's a lot harder. It's a lot like, I was running down the street and I forgot that I had been slicing bread and I just tripped and I fell on top of, a fucking,
everyone.
Busload of nuns, So it's like, it's just so much harder to mass stab by accident. Whereas shooting, people shoot themselves by accident all the time. It's really amazing to me. Living, I remember like trying to write a joke about this. In the US, this is so true, I think, and I guess it's true it's true everywhere, but the US, it just feels even more true because there's so many dumb fucking people. But it's like there are these people and they're stupid and that they're not just stupid, but they're like really energized. They're like
willfully stupid. Yeah.
They've chosen
Red Bull.
Yes. And they've chosen the wrong hole or door or whatever. And they're like, I don't give a fuck. This is the one I chose. And I'm going down this corridor, like whatever. And you're like, you're insane. And you're obviously really dumb and whatever. And yet I need you because we live in a society and you vote and I vote and there's a lot of you. And I can't just like write you off. I have to be like, okay, but don't you think that maybe it's nice to not risk children getting murdered at school? And they're like, if that's the price of freedom, I'm willing to pay it. And it's like, but no, like, and they're like, but the government is trying to come in here. And I'm like, but they're not trying to, like, it's just, I don't know. You have to cling to these people. I mean, they matter more because they're crazy. They matter more. It's what makes them important.
Yeah. When you said, I need you, all I could think was like, I need the laughs. Like, yes, I do need them. I need them to listen to my jokes and laugh at me. Other than that, I don't know,
That too, yeah. I need you to listen to my podcast. Yeah, with your little gun by the speaker, like one of those like FDR fireside chats, like they just sit by the radio and listen to us with their polishing their gun and looking up our addresses online. That's what I'm
not gonna lie, I'm flattered. In that scenario, I'm feeling flattered.
Yes.
But like when you're like, crime is up in New York, I'm like, oh, I miss it so much. Like, but I do think I lived there for 15 years when it was probably the least aggressive it's been.
Yes.
I thought I was moving to when I was like, I'm ready. And then I got there and I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I thought there was going to be, more cocaine and debauchery than my adolescent body could handle. And then in fact, it was like pretty mild, even compared to what I'd already done. But yeah, it's like a little lullaby,
Somebody,
guns ringing through the streets.
I told you that the other day somebody was smoking. You and I realized it was heroin, not crack, on the subway that I was like with the doors closed. They were smoking.
I like that you say you and I, like I was there, but you were telling me about it, and I was like, heroin.
Well, I told you the reason that you pointed out that it was probably heroin and not crack was because he smoked it in the corner, and I mean, it stank. And everyone's wearing a mask. So I don't think everybody noticed, but like me and this one guy looked at each other like, what the fuck? And then the guy this homeless guy who was smoking it. And then he went to go tie his shoes. So he's bent over and he fell asleep on his own lap tying his shoes. And you were like, people on crack don't fall asleep tying their shoes. And I was like, that's a good point. And so he definitely was smoking, probably heroin. But I've never seen that before. And I'm not even riding the subway all the time. I had to ride the subway to go get the second dose of the vaccine. And like, that was, I mean, I've been on the subway probably under 20 times, like maybe 10, 15 times since I've been back. And it's like, well, here's a guy smoking fucking heroin. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. It feels like, I mean, it's a bit crazy. People who were fucked up before and having a hard time before are, they're doing worse. I know it's hard to believe, but they're doing worse because of COVID, not better.
I mean, yeah, I don't mean to romanticize it, but I do feel like with that story, I am missing out. I am missing out on a lot of fun in New York, but I think it's just because I'm still, locked inside, even though outdoor dining opened today or 2 days ago. But it's like, I don't have anyone to dine with. So who gives a fuck? I also don't have any money. So
I was going to say,
but it's nice to see the energy. It's nice to see the energy.
Yeah. And what you can do is you can bring a little amp and like a microphone, and you can just stand outside and you can work on your jokes.
Free comedy show.
It's
actually hilarious. And
they've been inside for months and you're like, this city is no New York, huh? It's no New York. And they're like, I was walking behind her the other day and she was crying. I didn't realize she was a comedian.
I didn't realize she's crazy. And who gave her a microphone? Are you gonna plug the pot? Are you gonna tell them to fucking subscribe this time, or do you want me to do it? I can do it.
I'm too tired. You do it.
Hey, hey fuckers. If you made it this far, all you gotta do is take take your pointer finger and just guide it on your trackpad or on your screen, and you just hit. Is that what it's called? I don't know. I don't know. I don't build computers. I'm not Bill Gates. Okay.
I mean, it is on your computer. Most people listen to podcasts on their phone, but I just find it funny that you went so into detail. Yeah.
I don't pretend to know what most people do. What I know is that most people have not subscribed, and most people need to subscribe. So do it however you're going to do it. You go, you use your fingers, you use your device, and you click subscribe. And if you have it in your heart, you also rate and give it a good rating or not. You know what? Live your fucking truth.
Yeah. Okay? If you don't like it,
live your truth.
Yeah. 1 star. I thrive on feeling like an underdog. You know what I mean? And I'll be like, who was it? Who did it? And I mean, please don't do that. That'd be really
fuel her energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuel her energy. I think, And
also,
and
yeah, you go. No, you go.
No, I'm lobbing it to you. There you go.
Okay. Also, we're on TikTok now, and I should be more excited when I say that. Oh, yeah. I'm afraid. No. I'm gonna have to do things that are outside my comfort zone. Making things that other people are also making, and I feel
shudder.
Yeah, it's hard. When you do stand up. I think improv people would probably be like, ooh, TikTok, because it's like they're used to being silly and lighthearted.
They fucking love it.
Like stand-ups, it's like we're used to being cynical and like very in control. And so the idea of like putting out something that's not a stand-up clip or like a very heavily edited podcast clip is emotionally very challenging for me.
Draining.
Well,
I'm
going to say challenging. I'm going to say challenging because it's
whatever.
An opportunity to grow.
You and I have different. I can't even say the words TikTok without feeling a little part of me die. Like it was supposed to be just for a clock, and now it's like a whole movement, and I can't. Oh, but you know what? We're there. We're there. We're on it. If you are on it, I guess do what you do on it. I already got into a mini fight with somebody on it who tried to shame me. So realize this.
Yeah.
I am unstable. I have the internet. And if you say some shit, I'm probably saying some shit back. So get in there. It's going to be exciting.
And also because even if you post mean things, the more comments we get, the more the algorithm favors us. So yeah, it's you can follow us on TikTok at Everyone's Doing Better. You can follow us on Instagram at Everyone's Doing Better. Katharyn on Instagram is Ew Girl You Nasty. And also you're on TikTok, right, Katharyn? Ew Girl You Nasty also.
Yeah, I mean it's there. Okay,
She doesn't know this yet, but she's gonna have to do some work, and we're gonna have to have a little intervention later. But
this is terrifying. You're never gonna hear from me again.
My TikTok is Eve Elbow. My Instagram is Eve Elbow. And you know what? I'm going to say this. I don't know. We didn't even talk about this. So this is just me riffing here. But if you want us to talk about a certain topic, I'm not going to guarantee that we're going to do it, but message us on Instagram at Everyone's Doing Better and be like, can you guys talk about, whatever, poverty, and we won't. But we
Poverty.
might. I don't know.
You want me to talk about my life one more time? Okay,
Oh,
sure. Yeah,
okay.
I'll talk about me.
All right. Oh,
No.
I'm part of the working
You know what I'd
poor.
rather?
What?
I'd rather have it be like my headphones are about to die. This is funny, but I'd rather have it be like, let's say there's somebody something you're jealous of, or somebody did some shit to you. We could talk about. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like some global depressing issue.
All right. Yes. Okay. If you have,
this is now turned into a brainstorm session. For us.
Yeah, totally. If you have a gripe that you want us to toss back and forth and turn over, send us a message on Instagram at Everyone's Doing Better. And I think that's it. Yeah, you feel good?
That's it.
Thanks for listening.